Welcome, everyone, to our movie marathon joining. We're looking at desires that came up from The Shack, the movie The Shack, that we watched on Saturday. And we're using the Joining in Light Miracle worksheet, the steps, movie marathon.
Okay.
My phone is buzzing. Okay. So, one of the desires we were hearing to look at is for a vengeful, hateful God. And then we can just start with the light of divine being, see that the light is here, and ask Jesus for help to show us what miracles are needed. And if anyone hears another desire, if you've seen the movie and you'd like to share, if you're hearing yes on this desire, which I am, I notice it's kind of like old school. I want the old school God. But it wasn't, it was definitely a process of asking for kind of a pre-miracle with this one. It seemed to be kind of strong at the first mention of this. It was kind of like, oh, whoa, I don't know if I want to look. So if there's any resistance coming up to looking at this, we can ask Jesus for help with that. Can we have a miracle for looking? Am I trying to find peace through vengeance and a hateful God?
What came up for me was I realized that when anything goes wrong or I have an upset, I'm blaming God. And there's this desire to see God as out to get me. And so I've actually been looking at that. We've been joining here on that particular desire, which is, seeing God as vengeful and really the source of all my pain and suffering.
Yeah. Yeah, the main character in The Shack certainly has this desire. You can see how that's reflected in the beginning in his conversations with God and his conversations with Papa.
And I'm hearing that to recognize that, to see these all as plays in consciousness, like I want to make them real. Like, oh my gosh, I think God is awful and hateful and vengeful. That's just a play in consciousness to deny God. However, this whole thing about blaming God or, keeping a record of how many times things were going wrong and wanting to stack them up against God. I did not realize that was going on, but it really came out this afternoon when we were joining here.
Yeah. It feels like I can there's like a energy of wanting to convince like be convinced that this is the only way. This is the only way to see it.
That God is out to get me?
Yeah, that story, like Old Testament God is the way it is.
Mhm.
Like when it comes down to it. So we can just look at the energy and see what the value is. Ask Jesus for help in seeing what the value is of this desire. And the desire that we're looking at again is for a vengeful, hateful God.
The value, what I'm hearing is that the value for me is that I can just kind of cross God off the list of trusting entities or whatever, and that I can do my own thing and have justification for that, for being autonomous.
Yeah, it feels like I need to ask even what question is most helpful to ask. I don't want to get lost in the emotion. I want to stay down, but I want to go below. That's what he is encouraging us to go below any experience, in getting lost in any of the experience, in the thoughts, feelings and emotions, and just go below and just really stay with the desire for that it can't appear without that desire. So we'll just be with the relishing of it. Like, I really want this. And what did you say for the value again?
That I could kind of take God off the list of, entities or that I could trust, and I could then it gives me justification for being autonomous. Like
Okay.
I'll make all my decisions because you sure can't trust God. He's out to get me, like the elf on the shelf or something. Again, all this came up today as kind of a surprise because it's not something I wanted to look at.
Yeah, I had mentioned earlier that when I was talking to Jesus about it, it was, I was getting the thumbs up of like, really the helpfulness of just looking directly and not delaying the miracle with this, to just go for it, stay with the relishing and go for it, because it's we can see when we contrast with the light, that we can just ask that question, is this more powerful than the light?
Well, what I'm getting for the value is, well, what I saw was like stepping off a cliff. What I heard was so that I don't have to take responsibility for having done that.
Mhm.
I can blame it on God. Because with that responsibility for making that choice comes all the guilt. And I don't want to face that guilt. It's easier to blame it all on God. He kicked me out of heaven.
He would.
Kicked me out of heaven.
Yeah, it's reminding me just like of I'm responsible for the world that I see, that I'm choosing the experience. And to be without guilt, which was demonstrated very, very well in this movie. Even though there was a lot of desires with the main character, it was like this consistency of moving through each one. You could see moving through each one, and so gently. It was like very steady and very gentle. Okay, we could just check in and see where we're at with the worksheet. There's we can ask for a miracle. see if we're ready for a miracle. He's saying in the worksheet, ask me whether you are ready for the miracle, for I will tell you if you have a hidden desire to deny the miracle. Ask me if there is anything else you need to see.
What I'm hearing is that both in the movie and for my own, what the message I'm receiving is this whole thing of forgiveness, and thinking I know who God is, and that this is intractable. God is gave up his only son. God is out to get me, whatever. God is a vengeful God. And backing off from that to open to the possibility that maybe my concepts about God are wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was also hearing that a couple times. Just am I willing to entertain the idea, or just willing to entertain that I am confused about this, about the about this, and that that peace will never come through this desire for vengeance, for a vengeful, hateful God.
What's also coming,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, it's okay.
What's also coming up is that because I have this concept that God is vengeful, that God's out to get me, that I then hold a grievance against God. So when there are upsets, I'm like, oh, well, God, there goes God again, or something like that. Or I kind of, it's like I just didn't see all that was going on, kind of below the level of my awareness about all these grievances I was holding over sometimes seemingly silly things, but it was God's fault.
Mm.
Yeah, I can see that there's a clinging to this woe is me,
Mhm.
That God is just, he's not a loving God. He's not going to help me. He doesn't care about me. I'm the victim, but he wants to play a victim.
Mhm. Yeah, I can see the victimizer. And like the pleasure in that, and the pride in that. And power.
Then as we work through some of these, to say that everything that occurs is a desired experience, which means that whatever upsets I'm trying to blame on God are really desires that they all come from a desire I have buried in the subconscious. Boy, that really pissed me off. I was,
Oh,
what happened? Are you kidding me? Now you're going to turn around and it's my fault? Oh,
well,
so
self-imposed, but seeing that it's impossible as well at the same time, that it's something that I'm calling forth to keep from taking responsibility for accepting that I'm the light, that the light is all there is.
it takes some real maturity
Yeah.
to get
It
through
does.
some of this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why this movie is so beautiful, is because it just shows the fruits of forgiveness and staying with those desires, and looking at each one with that full attention. Yeah. There's so much focus. And you see the determination.
Determination for what?
Through the main character, you just see the determination. He goes to the shack. He goes where the last place, you would think you'd want to go. He goes. Like the shack is the symbol for the subconscious. Like in the room is the symbol of the subconscious. And so when we're joining, we're asking Jesus to guide us, and help us see what we are hiding from ourselves. And all the relishing that comes with that.
Yeah, I relish that God is a vengeful God, because look at this world. This world is a vengeful world. So it all seems to kind of go together. All the ego's shenanigans.
Yeah, the perceptual world is natural. And it's the familiar, it's what's comfortable. So this is the invitation to step out of our comfort zone, for sure. And we could ask if we're holding or releasing.
Some of both seems to be happening.
Yeah, that's what I got. I got that there's a holding, but there's also a little willingness.
Yeah, I'm willing to entertain the possibility that I don't have all the truth on this, that maybe there's some other way to look at this. It certainly would be a happier way to look at things, to see God as a God of love rather than a God of vengeance and hate.
Yeah, it's like when I see that hiding that desire for myself is not getting me peace. It's not, I'm not feeling closer to God. Yeah, what I hear with this movie is just all about the gentleness and the conversation, just the power and simplicity of that. The direct, having a direct conversation. And just going to the Holy Spirit for everything. And seeing that we can follow guidance. There's nothing outside us that's can stop us from that. So we just keep looking at where we don't want to follow guidance.
What I'm also hearing is that believing that God is vengeful and hateful justifies me being vengeful and hateful. And it takes a lot of looking to recognize, oh, I'm being vengeful and hateful here, these thoughts, because most of the time it's like, not me, I'm not that way. You know, but if my whole concept of God is like that, then, and the world is like that, then I'm like that.
Well, I was asking, what do I need to give up in order to be willing to, release this desire? And I heard the fear of God's reprimands. And I was asking, well, how do I do that? And I wasn't hearing anything. And then ultimately, what I got was to just release it into the light. But I'm like, is it really that simple?
Yeah.
Is it that simple? We can ask Jesus. Is that simple? Is it that simple to put the thought, the feeling, and the emotion, any energy, any idea that that's not possible?
You know, what I'm hearing is, yes, it's that simple, and the only way to know it is to actually experience it. Because only when you get to the other side will I see that, how simple it really was, how asking for help from God, from Jesus, from Holy Spirit really does release all that hatred and animosity.
Yeah, like seeing that it doesn't work, and but letting letting the fullness of all that energy of wanting it to work. Like all that wanting it to work, and to be convinced that God is vengeful and hateful. And here I have proof. Look at this, look at that, by that perceptual experiences can prove that the light's not here.
Yeah, I'm hearing the question. Do I value this so highly that it's worth hanging on to?
Hmm. Yeah, I can see how there's I treasure I treasure that the timeline, the story, that there's something happening, like Kathy was mentioning, the victim victimizer play. And seeing those as the same. And it does feel like there's more energy, but it's releasing.
Yeah, it's beginning to seem more ridiculous. Yeah, I'm willing to entertain the possibility that this is a misconception, that I really don't know if God is vengeful. I mean, I don't know what God is.
Uh-huh.
And then I find that the direct experience is so different than what my concepts were.
Yeah, there's like these little aha moments that are just so gentle.
well, this may sound odd, but I was asking, I said, please, Jesus, help me to see this differently. And I just saw an image of like a dachshund puppy. And then all of a sudden I felt this big release and like this big, and it's like, so I guess I got my miracle because I just keep going into the light, and I cannot like force myself back into the dream bubble. And it's like, I can't even get back in touch with that desire.
Wow. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's like with this direct looking, we can ask him, can I even find vengeance in the light? Can I find hatefulness in the light? It's like hate is effort. It takes a lot of effort to hate and to be vengeful. It takes so much effort. It seemingly, it's like in the play, of course, but
It's so uncomfortable.
it is unnatural. And so that's what he's showing us is, hey, look, is this natural? Is this working? No. Feels like it's clearing, and I'm hearing it's complete. What are you all hearing?
Yeah, it's clearing.
Yeah.
Of course, Kathy's,
Mm.
in the light.
Puppies.
She's enjoying her dachshund.
This there's many beautiful passages in the joining. It's called the guidance for the Joining in Light Brigade, Joining in Light Miracle Worksheet, which can be found on the joininginlight.net website and in the app as well. And Jesus is saying, although you have denied many miracles, you can choose a miracle anytime by asking for it. And so it shall be given unto you. This will help you to go to light first in all things. In this, you will cease to deny that indeed you are happiness.
Mm. Mm.
I'm hearing that it's complete.
Mhm. Yes, and Jesus encourages us to keep joining. We can join with our joining partners as well, and keep looking at this desire. And let's see, today is Thursday. Tomorrow we will be continuing with desires from the movie The Shack. And then we'll have our last movie of this marathon, the three movies. Wonder Woman? Is it Wonder Woman 84?
1984.
1984. That'll be on Saturday.
Mhm.
So keep coming and joining. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Mm.